It's time for more StarCraft. But you can't hear the epic music that I can. So, hello again. This is gonna be another Pro League set between SKT and Woongjin Stars. A little bit of a caveat: SKT is probably the team I watch the most. I'm a big fan of most of the regular players, so any biases that I may have, I'm sorry. So first set here, we've got TVT between Fantasy and MVP on Matchpoint. Looking at the stats for Matchpoint, this is typically the Protoss vs Protoss map in Pro League. It's got Protoss vs Protoss 27 times. The other mirror matchups are like 8. So it's obviously been very popular. On the other hand, the Terrans are winning something like 70% or 65% of the games. You know, obviously there's a small sample size so far, but kind of interesting to see. Maybe the dynamics of this map are changing as teams start to understand more about how to play on it. So obviously we have a TVT going on here today. MVP is going to be, I'm scrolling all over the place, I'm sorry. MVP is a white Terran up here at the upper right, and Fantasy is going to be blue down here in the bottom left. No cheese or anything interesting so far. That's, I suppose, entertaining. The rest of the set, we're going to have Zero versus Best, and then Gwebchi versus Bisu in set 3. So those two games I think will be good, just because watching Bisu play PvP is always entertaining if you watch like Bisu winning. And Zero versus Best I think has a lot of potential. I think Zero is probably, I think he's significantly ahead of Best right now. Best sort of been off and on for the past, well, year or more. And Zero has been one of the top Zergs, especially versus Protoss recently. On the other hand, Outsiders got a lot of expansions, got a lot of macro potential, so I don't think you want to discount Best on that map. As for the game we're actually watching, though, I was thinking, okay, well, Fantasies, he's Fantasies, but he's pretty strong, especially TVT. But on the other hand, MVP he's a mediocre Terran, and I went to look at his record, and he's only got a 37% win ratio. So mediocre Terran's not even really quite the right way to describe this. And we can see him going for some sort of crazy. Was that some sort of 14 CC? I should have been paying more attention instead of looking at statistics, clearly. He's trying to block the scout, which doesn't work at all. Yeah, that was apparently some sort of 14 CC versus Terran. Interesting. We'll see how that works out for him. Fantasies went for a factory after his racks, so he'll have early vultures or whatever he needs to get out to deal with this. And he looks like he's only got one SCV on gas, so either he's looking to expand or produce lots of vultures. But, well, lots of vultures is very Fantasy-like, so we'll see what happens. These sort of he is just gonna choose to expand on his own. That puts him a little bit behind, but on the other hand, he's probably gonna have a chance to get some harass done here. And it's Terran versus Terran, so small little setbacks like that you can come back from, because it's so hard to push when your opponent has siege tanks and you're trying to fight it with, well, siege tanks. That's actually why I typically don't watch a lot of TVTs. I don't know, there's too much positioning and not enough action going on. I need to disable my mouse wheel while I'm doing this. And Scout going down for MVP, Bunker coming up, nothing too interesting. The Bunker's in a pretty good position. It should be pretty hard for Fantasy to run by, especially looks if he throws down a supply depot up front. It'll make pretty much a solid wall all the way into the workers, which would obviously not make it easy for Fantasy to get in here to the main where their SCV is free for the killing. And yeah, MVP is choosing to completely wall off here, so his Fantasy has gone for vultures here. There's pretty much nothing he's going to do. He's going to have to sit back and accept being economically behind here. So that's a good for MVP. I really like this from him, actually, because he probably doesn't want to play fantasy straight up, even a slumping, or I guess not quite up to his own potential fantasy. So now there's absolutely nothing worth commentating on. Fantasy's putting down mines and just attempting to prevent expansions here, but I don't think that's really going to do anything. Yeah, okay. This is, even for a TVT, this is pretty laid back here. Since MVP is walled off like this and fantasy hasn't gone for dropships, there's not really much either player can do now. Now MVP's finally moving out with a couple vultures here. I don't know how much that's really going to be able to get done, at least right now. Yeah, fantasy also putting lots of supply depots up front, making sure to block things off so no pesky vultures can get in and kill his poor miners. And after taking 2 pot shots, it looks like MVP is scared away and runs back home, which I think is a completely reasonable place for him to be until he can put his economic advantage to complete use and push out with his superior army, which I don't really know if there's 5 factories coming up, so the Koreans are laughing about this. It looks like he is going to try to push this advantage. Fantasy's going for scan here, so he's going to see this momentarily, but it'll be interesting to see how Fantasy reacts. Some signs. That sign has lots of tiny little text on it. I don't think I could read that. Well, clearly I can't because it's in Korean, but man, these people, they just got a lot to say. Oh, I see some English there. Brain art storm. I don't understand that is in English. Finally, some action coming down here. That is a lot of vultures, and Fantasy's getting pushed back here a little bit. He's got tanks though. Tanks are great against vultures, but when you have this many vultures, sometimes it doesn't matter what you have against them. But nah. That does not work at all, and now I think MVP's that engagement didn't go so well for him. He only took out one of those tanks, and his amount of reinforcements aren't going to be much better. Nice block. MVP puts down his barracks, making sure Fantasy can't send out any reinforcements. That's cute, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. And now it's actually preventing MVP's vultures from getting in and doing anything. Fantasy just chooses the siege up right in front of his natural. 2 starports coming down from MVP. Now he's getting a little too cute, I think. So this is sort of interesting. He's 2 starports, but he hasn't taken his natural gas. But he's been pumping almost all vultures, so he's saved up some gas. I don't know. He doesn't seem like he's committing to any particular direction. And now he cancels one of the starports. So I don't know what that. Yeah, maybe it was a mistake. I don't know how he could have accidentally done that. So that's disappointing. I was hoping for some sort of sweet epic Wraith switch, but we'll have to wait for that, I guess.